Bats and tacks and flying steaks. Oh my. What's up, everybody? Eric here from That's Wrestling. Thanks for tuning in to today's Newswire, where we will be running down AEW Dynamite. If you would like the full review, be sure to tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern here on the YouTube channel, where we will be doing a full AEW Dynamite review show. And of course, it will be available as a podcast and video on demand afterwards. So, this week was interesting, and I actually thought it was a very good show this week. We had, starting out, Cody Rhodes with the TNT Championship Open Challenge, and who we get is Eddie Kingston. This was a very hard-hitting match. It was made into a no DQ match right at the beginning, where Kingston had said that he talked to Tony Khan, and Tony Khan said, yeah, you can have it as a no DQ match if you want, as long as Cody accepts, which he did. This match goes back and forth for quite a while. We have Kingston tweaking his knee early and selling the entire time. Very good selling from him. He pulls out a bag of Tacks and pours it over the middle of the ring. Everybody's thinking, well, Kingston's going to take this. No, Cody got power bombed onto the pile of Tacks. Of course, this just ended up firing up Cody, who then hit a massive running clothesline, put on the figure four to the injured knee, and he got the tap out. So Cody retains the TNT Championship, while Eddie Kingston looked like a beast in this match. So very good match to start off the night. Next up, we had a quick promo from Jon Moxley as a pre-tape, and he basically said that he's a I do what I say type of guy, no BS, and that he said he was going to tear Bryan's arms off, and he basically did, and it was smart of Taz to throw in the towel to prevent Brian Cage from having his bicep torn a second time. So it looks like this feud is not completely over, especially because we have some tie-in with Darby as well. Next up, we had MJF versus Griff Garrison, and before the match even started, MJF starts running him down on the microphone, mistaking him for Jungle Boy, which has been a running gag over on Being the Elite, and everybody saying, who the F is Griff Garrison? Which has been a running joke for the past few weeks. It's actually been a highlight of BTE the past few weeks, so definitely go check those out. And he then comes back and says, but MJF, you're not undefeated, when MJF is trying to pass off that he is. He says, you lost a tag team match at Fyter Fest. And that is when MJF attacks and the match starts. MJF basically takes this entire match. Griff gets a few little hope spots in here and there. Near the end of the match, MJF goes and grabs the mic again, and he wants Griff Garrison to say that he's undefeated. He refuses, but he stomps on Griff's hand, and then he continues to refuse, and eventually he does give in, says that he's undefeated, and then MJF hits the Heat Seeker pile driver. Looks like he might be using that for a finisher now. It's really cool. It's basically a draping pile driver. Interesting move, and he picks up the victory there. Next up, we have a Britt Baker segment, and she is running down all of the famous comebacks, and she says Michael Jordan and the Wizards, which Tony Schiavone had to step in and say, yeah, they didn't even make it to the playoffs. They didn't do very good when he came back to the Wizards. And Britt Baker's like, are you trying to be an asshole? And she has her funny comedy bit. It was, again, Britt Baker is the highlight of the show most weeks. And then we have Taz. He comes out to the ring to cut a promo. He says that him and Brian Cage had some heated arguments about throwing in the towel, and he was being close to fired, but he managed to talk sense into Brian Cage that it was a business decision and had to be made. And it's because Brian Cage has an FTW mindset, and he would not have tapped. Darby Allin comes out, his music hits, and right before he gets to the ring, he's attacked from behind by Ricky Starks. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks beat up on Darby Allin, and just before Brian Cage is going to hit him with a chair, Jon Moxley runs in for the save with a barbed wire bat, and that is going to set up next week. We're going to have Darby Allin and Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks in a tornado tag, no less. So that should be a interesting brawl, to say the least. After that, we have a quick Jericho segment backstage with the Inner Circle being interviewed by Alex Marvez, and he's basically saying, okay, what color is my jacket? And Alex says, it's orange. And he says, what color is it supposed to be? And Alex giggles a little bit, says it's supposed to be white, and he goes on that, yes, he's going to destroy Orange Cassidy's career, and he's going to go and destroy the Jurassic Express because Marco Stunt was making fun of him last week. And then he asks his crew, do I still smell like orange? And Santana goes, yeah, you kind of do. And then next up, we have Butcher and Blade versus the Young Bucks in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and the Bucks want to just start this match off. They go hunting for Butcher and Blade, who are actually back in the kitchen area of the facility chopping up meat. So the fight starts in the kitchen. We have some flying steaks. We have some body drops onto prep tables. Eventually they make their way out into the concourse, brawl out into the concourse. We see a dive out of the back of an AEW truck. We see Nick getting thrown into a picture of himself on the truck, and then into the ring they go. They set up some tables on the outside at one point, and Blade was probably supposed to go through one of those tables. He was going to do a dive over the top rope, and Nick Jackson was going to move out of the way. He was standing in front of the table. Blade missed it completely and crashed and burned right on the floor. Looked like it sucked, but he seemed to be okay. He got back into the match in the end. Butcher and Blade set up some tables over by the entrance tunnels, and then they get it turned around on them when the Young Bucks hit a ton of super kicks, lay them both out on various tables. Matt and Nick go up to the top of opposite tunnels and then hit dives. I believe Matt hit an elbow drop and Nick hit a senton or swanton and picked up the pin as a double pin. Very interesting. Very, very fun match. I liked it a lot, and I liked how they structured it, and I liked they put the commercial break right at the right spot to move them from the backstage into the ring when they came back to commercial. I think it worked out perfectly. We have then a Alex Marvez hunting for Archer and Jake Roberts. They eventually do find him. He gets dragged by the collar by Archer into a locker room where he just beats up everybody in the locker room. He throws one guy up into the drop ceiling, which then causes one of the tiles to fall out. He then fights with him a bit more and then dumps him upside down into a trash can like he was in high school. It was very funny because the entire time Jake is cutting a promo, which was very hard to pay attention to because Archer was just beating up all these guys in a locker room. It was pretty funny. Next up, we have the Dynamite debut, I believe, of Diamante versus Ivelisse. And this match I thought was pretty good. It was sloppy in spots, but not a big deal. Ivelisse goes hard. These two actually both went hard. They were laying in chops. They had a chop battle that went on for like 30 seconds to a minute. Then they laid in some vicious slaps to each other's face. Really, really good. In the end, though, Diamante picks up the victory with a roll-up, getting the best of Ivelisse, who is being very aggressive in this and kind of cocky. I think it ended up costing her in the end here, but I'm a big fan of Ivelisse, and I've never seen Diamante wrestle before, and now I am a fan. I think the both of them are going to be a good addition to the women's roster, especially because they just laid their stuff in. It was really, really good. During this match, though, they had an inset promo with Big Swole, which kind of took away from the match a bit. They probably shouldn't have done it because it makes you think, oh, this match isn't very important if they're just going to put an inset promo from Big Swole. She basically says she's going to come beat the crap out of Britt Baker, and she's patient, and she doesn't mind waiting. So it looks like this is probably going to happen at All Out because Britt alluded that she probably will be ready to go at All Out. Then we had a match with Hangman Page versus number 5 from the Dark Order. This was mostly a squash match. Paige pretty much took control for the vast majority of the match. There were some good spots and a little kind of hope spot comebacks from number 5, but in the end he fell to Hangman Page after he hit a rolling elbow and then hit a last ride powerbomb for the victory. After, though, Brody Lee and Colt Cabana come out. All the Dark Order was already up on the stage, but these last two come out. Brody Lee says that he's very impressed with Adam Page, wants him to join the Dark Order, that he will never be left alone, as he mentioned. It doesn't look like you have any friends, and your tag team partner isn't out here when you're clearly in danger. Adam Page says, yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm ready to be in a cult. Brody Lee says, I guess you've made your bed, enjoy your sleep in it. And then he leaves with Colt Cabana, so Colt Cabana doesn't see what happens. And then Dark Order comes and beats Adam Page up. FTR come in to make the save, and then Kenny Omega shows up a little bit late to the party. They give Adam Page a beer, and he seems to be happy with that. Omega was kind of waffling back and forth whether he was okay with what was going on or not. And then the final match of the evening was Chris Jericho and Jake Hager versus Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. This was, again, a very good match. All the matches tonight were very good, and we had lots of really cool spots. Jericho gave Jungle Boy so much. Jungle Boy got so much offense in on Jericho this entire match. He looked really good. At one point, he hit a springboard from the outside in flatliner. I'm not sure if it was supposed to go that way, but that's how it went. Luchasaurus and Hager have a nice hoss fight at one point, just exchanging strikes and strikes and strikes. They work on Luchasaurus' ankle at one point. At one point, Luchasaurus' ear got completely bloodied. I don't know what happened. It looked like his earlobe actually got torn away from his head. Not sure where that happened, but it looked like it kind of sucked. I have not seen an update on that injury. There's also a time where Jericho grabs the bat and has a spat with Aubrey Edwards, the referee. She grabs the bat from him. He grabs it back, and she starts pushing him. He pushes Aubrey back, which she does not take too kindly, and finally he drops the bat to the outside of the ring. And then we see Sir Pentago getting up onto the ring apron with the bat, and he hits Luchasaurus in the back of the head with it, which then lets Chris Jericho hit the code breaker on Luchasaurus and gets the victory. Afterwards, Sir Pentago comes in, starts beating up on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and then he hits a shooting star press, and it's revealed to be Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara is back, and then Orange Cassidy's music hits. Him and the best friends come out to help Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, and the Inner Circle all run off. So the Inner Circle is back to full strength here, which then sets up next week. It will be Inner Circle versus Best Friends and Orange Cassidy with Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus. So that should be a very fun week next week. We have that match. We have Jon Moxley, Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. We have Cody with another TNT Championship Open Challenge match. We also have Hikaru Shida versus Diamante in a non-title match. And we have Kenny Omega and Hangman Page versus Stu Grayson and Evil Uno from the Dark Order for the tag title. So should be a good one next week. So thanks for tuning in to the Newswire for today on That's Wrestling. See you later, guys.